Hey, we're here with Tim O'Neill, the author of the new book, Tobacco is Not a Vegetable. Tim, you're a published author now. How'd you get here?
Well, it started in first grade. I was in a religion class, and one of the nuns talked about this sacrament called confession. And I remember being on the playground afterwards and talking to my buddies and going, God, we could be as bad can be until we're like 70 or 75 years old. And all we have to do is ask for forgiveness, and then boom, right into heaven. So the stories that are set here sort of capture my life, and they do go back to grade school, and some of them are as recent as 2012. Mm-hmm. But the first chapter and the last chapter are future world, and they're fiction. They're set outside those pearly gates in the waiting room outside St. Peter's Gate. The 50 stories in between are all true stories that are captured, some real wonderful characters that have sort of blessed my life.
And these 50 stories that are in between, this is the case that's being built for you to get into heaven.
Yeah, I select my friend Big Iowa to be my presenter to St. Peter, to present these series of life lessons and the characters, and to improve my marginal case for entry into heaven.
And these 50 stories are about you, but they're not necessarily about you. They're more about the characters that you've encountered. Right.
One of the things that my son Danny has always said is, Dad, when you write, you don't have to invent characters because you're so good at attracting them. Well, I have attracted quite a few wonderful people in my life, and this book pays tribute to them.
That's great. So some folks will recognize themselves in the pages of Tobacco is Not a Vegetable.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Great. How have things changed for you now that you're a published author?
Well, it's a source of pride, to tell you the truth. I've had a book in me for some times. The first time I was told I write funny was freshman year in high school. I don't know if you've ever heard this, but an upperclassman my first semester at University of Missouri said to me, there's no lower form of human life than a male freshman at a big university. Well, I beg to differ. I've been that. I was also a first semester freshman in an all-boys high school, St. Lucie High, and I think there's really no lower form of life than a male freshman at an all-boys high school. But I did have a highlight that first semester at St. Lucie High, and that was when my English teacher, who was a Jesuit priest, his name was Father Sheehy, my dad called him my Irish English teacher. He's the first one that recognized what I was writing and said, Timmy, you write funny. Well, I thought he was talking about my handwriting. He said, no, your style it's funny. You've got potential there. And really, as a first semester freshman, you write funny. That didn't feel any stronger to me than you dance funny, which is what a freshman from St. Joseph Academy had told me at a mixer just the Friday night before.
That's funny. So this is the culmination of that compliment.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's coming up in the near future for Tobacco is Not a Vegetable?
Well, some book signings that I'm really looking forward to. 3 next week, as a matter of fact, at Barnes & Noble's. Next Wednesday, I'm at the Barnes & Noble in Fenton at 5:30, and then that's Wednesday the 12th. On the 14th, Friday night, at 6 o'clock, I'm at the Barnes & Noble in Chesterfield on Clarkson Road across from Chesterfield Mall. And the following day, on Saturday at 3 o'clock, I'm at the Barnes & Noble in Ladue. So looking forward to getting the word out at those 3 Barnes & Noble locations. And hats up, a tip the cap to the fine folks at Barnes & Noble. Great people.
Great. Anything you'd like to say to the 50 characters in the book, or the folks that have been supportive of you in the last 2 months since the book has been published?
Yeah, there's really over 100 characters that are in this book, and when people ask me why I wrote this book, I sort of smirk them off and say, oh, well, I became an empty nester 2 years ago, and after a long while, I figured I couldn't drink and play golf every night, so I started writing. But the real answer as to why I did this is a tribute to the over 100 people that have been in my life, what I'll call my supporting cast, wonderful people. And as I travel the country, which I do in my job, I'm always watching people and studying groups of people at work and at play, and no better group at work or at play than the people that surrounded my life, and so it's a tribute to them more than anything.
Great. Well, good luck and keep up the good work.
Absolutely, thanks. Have fun. Tobacco's not a vegetable.
That's right.
All right.